Hey gang, Jane here, and I have another great crochet granny square tutorial to share with you today. I call this one the Mystic Harmony Square. It's a simple pattern and it offers a great canvas for trying out color combinations. I'll grab a few colors I want to experiment with and then I'll work the square into various combinations. It really makes a difference when you see the colors worked into a square together. I'll usually work at least 4 different squares, mixing up the orders of the colors. This gives me a good idea of how the colors will work together. Then I can join the squares to make a trivet or a pillow cover. I like to keep these swatches handy so that I can revisit them to help me decide color palettes for future projects. It really is surprising how changing the colors and the position of the colors in a square can completely change the look of the square itself. Another way to play with your squares is to change up the number of rounds done in each color. For example, in this blanket I used the same square but altered between light and dark on the petal round. And in the dark petal squares, I finished all the remaining rounds in a light color. This made the flower pop and gave a nice design contrast to the squares. I've been wanting to work a square in black, white, and gray, so I've decided this is the one. I have done it in so many colors to experiment with it, but there's something classic about using various shades of gray with a black and white dramatic contrast. This square starts in the round and then it forms into a 12-petal floral design. Then we square it off and add a few border rounds. It's 8 rounds total and it offers up a variety of stitches. This one has a double crochet cluster stitch to make these petal shapes, and it's really one of the easier cluster shapes to make, but don't worry, I'll walk you through that as well. So I'll be working this square in a worsted weight today, and I'm going to be doing it in the gray tones. I'm working with 4 different colors, so I have a dark charcoal here. Then I have what's called putty, which is an off-white. Then I have a medium gray. This isn't a bright white, it's like a snow white color. So those are my 4 colors. And then I'm also working with a 5.5mm crochet hook. I like to go up a little bit just to make my squares a little softer and a little roomier. You're also going to need a pair of scissors and a darning needle to tie in your ends. You can find more information on the yarns I use and the free pattern for the Mystic Harmony Square over on my blog. I'll leave the link in the description below. So gather your supplies and your favorite colors and join me in making the Mystic Harmony Square. Starting with our charcoal yarn, we're going to make a magic ring. We lay the yarn across our palm with the cut end facing us. Hold it in place with your thumb. Wrap around the first 2 fingers and wrapping underneath and across, hold that in place with your thumb. Wrap around your 3 fingers. Take your hook and go under your first loop and over your second, pull it through, twist the loop on the hook by twisting the hook itself, then reach over to this longer strand and pull through a loop. That's your chain 1, and it also locks your magic ring in place. Round 1 is going to be all half double crochets, so I've started here with a chain 1. I'll need 1 more chain in order to start with a chain 2. The chain 2 represents the first half double crochet. So we do 1 more chain and we have a chain 2 here, a beginning chain 2. And now we want to do a half double crochet into this loop. So yarn around the hook, insert into the loop, yarn around. We have 3 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook again and pull through all 3. That's your half double crochet. So now we have 2 of them because again the chain 2 represents your first half double crochet. I want 12 of them total. So let's work. We need 10 more after that. Let's work them into our loop until we have 12 altogether. So I'll just do a few more here and then I will count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need 2 more. Now we have 12, including the chain 2, and I want to cinch up my magic ring before I join. So putting my thumb and finger at the base of the stitch, I want to pull on this cut end of yarn, just gently, just see how it moves in, almost all the way in. Doesn't have to come all the way in because you'll get another chance to do that when you darn in your end. I've closed up the hole and now I can join. And because I'm going to be changing my color, I'm actually going to do an invisible join. So I cut my yarn and I pull it through and I let that yarn go. So now we're ready to do an invisible join. Of course, I picked a very dark color of yarn to start with here, but let's see If I can just go over how I do this. I do this a lot in my videos, and I also have a separate video on how to do this, so you can look that up if you want a close-up version. But you take the yarn and put it on your darning needle, and then you go not into the chain 2, but you go into this first stitch after the chain 2, under both loops, you pull it through, and then you go back to where you came out of, you go into that stitch, and you create a stitch over top of the chain 2. So it replaces the chain 2, so you still have 12 stitches when you count. You have not added any new stitches, but you've made this join a nice even join. Moving on to round 2, we're going to use this nice putty color. Join in any one of the stitches around, it doesn't matter which one you pick, and you're going to pull up a loop. Now I'm going to do my invisible join as well. So I wrap the yarn first because I'm doing single crochets. Then I go into the stitch, any stitch, and I go under the cut end of the putty. I pull up a loop, and then I finish my single crochet. That's how I join it without that extra loop going on there. Then chain 1, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1. This is what we're going to do all the way around. Single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. Continue to do that all the way around. You're going to have 12 single crochets and 12 chain 1 spaces. Meet you back here and we'll finish off the round. Back at the end of our round, we have 12 single crochets and 12 chain 1 spaces. So we ended with a chain 1. We will join by inserting our hook under the first single crochet stitch. So you have the 2 loops on top. Pull your yarn through and then pull it through the loop on the hook. And that's how I join that round. Cut our yarn anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, depends on how much you like there. And now we're ready for round 3. Round 3, we have this medium gray, and we're going to do a very similar stitches to what we just did here, except we're going to chain 2 in between each one. So insert your hook into any one of the chain spaces. We're only working in chain spaces on this round. And again, I'm going to do my invisible single crochet join. So before I insert it, I wrap it around, then I insert it and make sure that the cut end goes over top of the hook. Pull up your loop and complete your single crochet. That's your first single crochet. Chain 2, single crochet in the next chain space, chain 2, single crochet in the next chain space, and chain 2, and that's how this round is going to go. So you're going to do the exact same as before, except chain 2s in between. You will have 12 single crochets and 12 chain 2 spaces when you reach the end. I'll meet you back here and we'll finish off our round. Round 3, we've come to the end. We have 12 single crochet and 12 chain 2 spaces. We've ended with a chain 2. And now I just want to join in the first single crochet of the round. Insert your hook, pull a loop through, and through the loop on the hook. Now you're going to cut your yarn again because we're changing our color. Now if I pull this square out so we can see where we're going next, we've done this center. And this is a very common center in a lot of my squares. I really love this center and then just see where it goes from there. So in this case, there's our center. Next round is going to be these cluster stitches, which is going to create the flower shape. We'll be using the snow white color, and that's where we're going to go next. A beginning double crochet cluster can start with either a chain 2 or a chain 3. I'm going to use a chain 2 this time because I find it does have less bulk when you join the stitches at the top. So personal preference on this, you will come across it both ways, but try it out for yourself and see which you prefer. Here we have the snow white. We're going to join in any one of these chain 2 spaces, anywhere around. In this case, I'm going to insert my hook first because we're starting with a chain 2. Now this is the beginning of the clusters. So a beginning double crochet cluster is a little bit different than all the other double crochet clusters. So this particular one, we only work at the beginning. It starts with the chain 2. Wrap your yarn around and insert into the same space we just joined in. pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2. Leave these 2 loops unworked, and we're going to go to the next double crochet, wrap the yarn around, insert into the same space that we're working in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. We now have 3 loops left on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time. That's the top of our cluster. This creates our beginning double crochet cluster because it started with a chain 2. Chain 3, and we're ready to work our next double crochet cluster. And this double crochet cluster is what we're going to work in every single chain 2 space around. We'll do it a few times before I let you go ahead and do it on your own. Wrap the yarn around the hook, insert into the next chain space, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2. 2 loops remain on the hook, and we're not going to work those right now. Yarn over and insert into the same space that we're working in. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. Leave those unworked. Yarn over, insert your hook one more time into the same space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. You now have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4, and you do this by using your thumb and your finger to pull all this work down to create the space to pull through. You're actually pushing up on your hook and down on the work so that you create space in there and you pull the loop through. Should come through nice and easy. And then chain 3. This is what we'll be doing all the way around. So let's do it again, and then I'll leave you to do it on your own. A double crochet cluster, which is what this is next into the next space, and then you'll do a chain 3. So first we do the double crochet cluster. I'll walk you through it again. Yarn around the hook, insert into the next chain space. Pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 of the loops. Leave these 2 loops unworked. Yarn over and insert into the same space again. Pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 of the loops. You now have 3 loops left on the hook. Leave those unworked. Yarn over, insert into the space one more time, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You now have 4 loops left on the hook, and if you look here, you have 3 partially worked double crochets. Now we're going to join them at the top, which creates the cluster, by yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. Now it joins it at the top and creates this little cluster. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This is what you're going to do in every space all the way around. You're going to have 12 clusters and 12 chain 3 spaces. If you still want some help with the cluster, go back and watch that again and work your way around the entire piece. I'll meet you back here to finish off the round. We've reached the end of the round and I've ended with a chain 3. We have 12 cluster stitches and 12 chain 3s. To join this round, insert your hook into the top of the first cluster. So the stitches, the stitch that was created by pulling through all of the loops right there, that's the one you want to join in. Insert your hook, yarn around, pull through, and pull through the loop on the hook. Now you have completed your round, you've joined it, and you can cut your yarn. Pull it through, and you have your flower. Looking at our piece again, we have completed the flower, and now we're going to square the square. So we're going to use this medium gray, and we're going to create our corners, and then we finished off with just these border rounds. So let's get going on this next round. I have my medium gray ready to go, and I'm going to join in any one of these chain 3 spaces. Yarn flying around here. Any one of these. So I'm just going to pick this one here. We want to start with a chain 3. So pull up a loop and then chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. This will be our first corner. And as I usually do, I start with the first half of the first corner, and then when we come around to the end of this, we'll finish off the second half of the corner. So we start with a chain 3. Now double crochet into the same space and double crochet again into that same space. What we have is 3 double crochets because this chain 3 counts as your first double crochet, and that's the first half of the corner. Chain 1, move to the next chain 3 space and work 3 single crochet into this space. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. Moving to the next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet in this space. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1. We've reached the next corner. So we worked across our first edge. This will be the next corner. In this chain 3 space, we are going to work 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, all into this space. That's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, first part of our corner, chain 3, 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and we have our corner. Working across the next edge, chain 1, go to the next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet, chain 1. Next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet, chain 1. We've worked up this edge, now we've worked across this edge, we've reached our next corner. Into this chain 3 space, we work 3 double crochet, chain 3, and 3 more double crochet. That turns our corner for us. Seems like a lot going on in that chain 3 space, but we need it to turn our corner. There's our first corner, and there's our second corner. I will keep on moving around if you want to. That's the repeat that we are going to do, but I will work you around this as well. You can go ahead if you want, or you can stick with me here, and we'll continue around. Chain 1, next chain 3 space, 3 single crochets, chain 1, next chain 3 space, 3 single crochets, chain 1. We've reached our next corner. Into this chain 3 space, 3 double crochets, grab a little more yarn here, chain 3, and 3 more double crochet in the same space. There's another corner finished. Chain 1. Oops, chain 1. Now we're just working across our last edge, and then we're going to finish the corner over here. In the next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet, chain 1. The next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet, chain 1. We've come back to our first corner and we want to work the second half of it. So in this space that we joined in, 3 double crochet, chain 3, and we're ready to join and finish off our round. So you join in the third chain of that beginning chain 3. So count up 1, 2, 3. Insert your hook into that third chain, right into the center of it. Yarn over and pull through the loop on the hook. You've joined your round, and now we can cut our yarn 3 to 4 inches. Pull it through. Let's take a look at this. We have now squared our flower, and we're ready to put the border rounds on. So looking again at this one, we've done the squaring part, and now we want to do the border rounds. The next round, I'm going to use this charcoal again. I always find these last 3 rounds really can use any 3 colors you want. Pulled out of here, obviously not this. The next round can't be this one. Well, it could be. I guess if you wanted the square to be bigger, you could do a round of that as well. It's really just experimenting. I love experimenting with these squares and getting different looks, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it just depends on the colors, whether it works or not. But we are going to use this charcoal next. Round number 6, we're going to take the charcoal and join in a corner. So any of these chain 3 corners, that's where we're going. I want to join doing a single crochet. So first I wrap around the hook, then I insert into the chain 3 space and making sure the cut end is over top of my hook so I can secure that single crochet, pull up my loop and finish my single crochet. Then I chain 2. We're going to skip over this next stitch and work into the second stitch. Insert your hook and work a single crochet. Chain 2. Skipping over the next stitch, work into the chain space. Single crochet, chain 2. Skip over this stitch, working into the center single crochet stitch. Single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next single crochet and work in the chain space. Single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next single crochet, work into the center single crochet of this group, single crochet, chain 2. Chain 2 in between each of them. Skip over the next single crochet and work into the chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, it's a double crochet, so skip over that one, go to the center one, work into that one, a single crochet, and a chain 2. And finally skip this last double crochet and work into the next chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 3, and a single crochet. Let's take a look at what we just did there. Now I experimented with this row in a few different variations, and I'm going to explain why I did what I did here. So on the corner, I stay with the chain 3, and throughout here, I use chain 2s. It might look like it's flaring a little, and it kind of is. But on the next 2 rounds, I'm going to do chain 1s, and it pulls it back in, and it creates this cool little space in here. So I'll show you afterwards the difference between the two. It's not a huge difference, but if I did chain 1s across here, it creates a denser fabric when I get the other 2 rounds on. If I do the chain 2s in here, although it looks a little wonky for this round, it works out in the end with the next 2 rounds because it just gives it extra space and lift, and the next 2 rounds will be chain 1s. I'll explain that a little better when we get to that part. But I'm just giving you a heads up about if you're looking at this and saying, wow, is that ever flaring out, Jane? Like it's not working. Just bear with it. It will work. So moving around to the next edge, let's work that again. So we're doing the same as what we did here, but we're going to do it again. Because we have to work into specific stitches on this round, we have to pay attention to where we are. So we've worked our corner with a single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. Now we chain 2. Skip over your first stitch and work into your next stitch a single crochet. Chain 2. Skip over your next stitch and work into your chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over your next stitch, working into the next stitch, which is the center single crochet of that grouping. Work a single crochet and chain 2. Skip over that last single crochet of this group and work into your chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the first single crochet in the next group, work into the center one, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over that last single crochet in this group and work into the chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next double crochet, working into the next one, center one of that group, single crochet, chain 2, and then finally skip over this last double crochet and work into the chain 3 space, single crochet, turning your corner, chain 3, and a single crochet into the same space. And that turns your corner, and you have another edging. Now you're probably starting to notice that it is kind of flaring. That's okay. Trust me, this will give you a nice look. So we have 2 more edges to do, and I'm going to go ahead and work them with you. If you want to, you can just skip ahead if you know what you're doing here, and I'll meet you back here at the end. But for those that like to move along with me, let's keep going. Next, we chain 2. And again, skipping over the first stitch, working into the second stitch, single crochet, chain 2. It's always single crochet, chain 2. It's just depending on where you're working into. Skip the next stitch, work into the chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, working into the next stitch, single crochet, chain 2. So you always have that space in between, whether it's a stitch or a chain space. Skip this next single crochet and work into the chain space, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, working into the next one, single crochet, chain 2. Skip that next single crochet and work into the chain space, single crochet, chain 2. You have a double crochet here you're going to skip over and work into the next one, single crochet, chain 2. Skip over this last double crochet and work into your chain 3 space, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. And we have 1 more edge to work. It is getting kind of repetitive, but if you like listening to me do it, not a problem. I will work it with you. Chain 2. Skip over the first stitch, single crochet in the next one, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, single crochet in the chain space, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, single crochet in the next one, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, single crochet in the chain space, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, single crochet in the next one, chain 2. Skip over the next stitch, single crochet in the chain space, chain 2. Skip over the next double crochet stitch and single crochet in the next one, chain 2. Skip over the last double crochet, we're back to where we joined, single crochet in that same space that we joined in, chain 3, and here's where we're going to join our round. You want to go into that first single crochet, yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull through the one on the hook, and then we're going to cut our yarn because we're changing our colors. Pull that through, and let's take a look at this. And you think, oh, it's wonky. It's got, the edges are like, blue. But I've experimented with this and I've actually found, I did it by mistake the first time, but what I found is this creates an extra space in this round. Because they're chain 2s, when I do this next round with a chain 1, it's going to pull everything in and up. So you're going to get a nice space in there. So let's just look at this. I'll show you an example of not doing it this way later. This black is what we just did. And then the next 2 rounds are going to have chain 1s. And what it does is it creates this extra lift in here. Let's zoom in. In here, these chain 1s, they get pretty tight and dense. So it does give a nice firm and secure look. But in here, where we just did the chain 2s, you have a little more lift and a little more space. And overall, it seems to give a nicer look. And it really makes a difference because I did it by accident the very first time I did it. And I compared that square. I was trying to duplicate the square. And when I had the other square, I was like, why do I like this one better than the other one? And I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized that I'd done a chain 2 in here, probably by mistake. And I realized that I liked how much more space. It just sat nicer. It just sat with more space to it, where the other one just seemed denser. So it's kind of fun to experiment and not really know what you've done, but you like it better. Round number 6, we have our putty, off-white putty color. We're going to join in any one of the corners. So any one of the chain 3 corners. And again, it's going to be a single crochet. So I'm going to wrap my yarn first around my hook, then insert into that corner underneath the cut end, pull up a loop, and complete my single crochet. This is how we start. Chain 1. We will be working in every one of these chain 2 spaces. So the nice thing about this round is it's all set out for you. What we start with is what we do all the way around. Insert into the next chain 2 space and work a single crochet. Chain 1. In the next chain 2 space, single crochet. Chain 1. Continue to do that all the way across. Single crochet in the chain 2 space with a chain 1 in between them. And we'll work our way to the next corner and we'll take a look at what we've done here. This round is going to pull in the last round, so you won't see as much flare. I've reached the corner. We're going to work a single crochet in this chain 3, another chain 3, and a single crochet to turn our corner in the same space. Now you have your first edge and your first corner. So if we take a look at this, this round is pulling in the round below it. So you've created some nice space in there, and then this round just pulls it in. It's almost like you're just tightening it up. So it gives it a nice crisper edge. We're not so wonky. Let's go around the next edge and we'll get a better idea. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 2 space. Chain 1. And we're going to work that all the way across until we get to the next corner. So these rounds are probably the quickest of all the rounds that we've done. We've reached the next corner. We want to do a single crochet, chain 3, and a single crochet in the same space to turn our corner. Now we have 2 edges done, and now you're starting to see how it's pulling that wonkiness in. Continue to do this across your next edge, and then one more edge. I'll meet you back here when we get to the corner where we joined, and we'll finish the round together. I've worked the last 2 edges. I am back where I joined. I end with a single crochet in this last chain 2 space and a chain 1. Single crochet in the same chain 3 space that you joined in. Chain 3. And slip stitch in this first single crochet to join your round. Cut your yarn 3 to 4 inches and pull it through. Now you can see your square is a little crisper. This last round brought the round before it in a little bit to control it, and now I'm going to add one more round to give it a nicer finish. The last round is going to be done in the medium gray, and again I'm going to work my invisible single crochet join in any one of these chain 3 spaces. So wrapping the yarn around my hook, inserting it into the space under the cut end, pull up a loop and complete my single crochet. Chain 1. So exactly the same as the last round. We're going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, all the way across our edge until we get to the next corner. Single crochets and chain 1s, only working in the chain 1 spaces. And when I get to my next corner, we'll take a look at what we've done. Now I've reached the corner. I want to work a single crochet. And here's where it's kind of personal preference. It could be a chain 3 or a chain 2. I've done both. It kind of depends on how tight you crochet, really. I have done chain 2s. Let's try a chain 3 and just see what it looks like. Single crochet in the same space again. Now, I think the chain 3 is going to work nicely. But again, you can experiment. Sometimes the chain 2 kind of cuts your corner too tight, and sometimes the chain 3 pops your corner out too much. So you kind of use your own idea of where you are on that particular day as to how you're crocheting. If you're crocheting tight, you might want to go chain 3. If you're crocheting loose, you might want to go chain 2. So I really say when it comes to the corners, experiment on how you crochet. So today, the chain 3 is going to work. I've done patterns where I write the pattern and I say that's what works. And then a week or 2 later, I make it again and it doesn't work. Like the corners don't work. And I'm like, what's wrong with that corner? Why would I have said chain 2 or chain 3? It just depends on how I'm crocheting that day. So if I'm having one of those tense days, the square is going to come out differently. So this is where I say to people, within reason, experiment with how you crochet. So now you just want to do exactly what you've just done here around the next 3 rounds. So you go ahead and you single crochet chain 1 in each one of these spaces. You work your corners the way you feel, single crochet chain 2 or chain 3. I'm doing a chain 3 today. And continue on, and I'll meet you back here at this last corner and we'll finish off our square. We've worked our way all the way around. I'm back to where I joined. Insert your hook into the same space that you just joined in. Work a single crochet, chain 3 is what I'm working. And then join in that first single crochet of the round, pulling up a loop and pulling it through the one on the hook. Cut your yarn and let's take a look at our finished square. So now that it's laying here flat, you can see, remember it was really wonky back here with the black? Now it's so nice and square because these last 2 rounds pulled it right in, crisped it right up, and now we have a little extra space in here for nice and soft flow, but we also have this nice square border. Now here's a comparison between the chain 2 and the chain 1 that was done on the 6th round of the border. The chain 2 version is on the left and the chain 1 version is on the right. You may actually not see much of a difference, and to be fair, visually there really isn't. It's really more about the feel. Looking at these squares from a top down, it actually looks like the chain 1 is a little bit more of a consistent look. However, it is a denser fabric. So the reason I used the chain 2 on the 6th round was to get a little more movement in the square for things like blankets and sweaters. Keep this in mind when you're making squares. What will they be used on? A piece that doesn't have much movement, like a pillow cover or a trivet? Or do you want some more airiness in it, like a blanket or a scarf? This is just food for thought. I love to encourage you guys to explore and experiment, question why you're doing these stitches, and are there alternatives? And that completes the Mystic Harmony Square. Try grabbing a bunch of your favorite colors and play around with your own swatches. Make them into pillow covers or blankets. Use these squares to have fun with creativity and experiment with your ideas. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel so you're sure to catch all my tutorials as they come out. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you in the next tutorial.